terrestrial and extraterrestrial affairs. A commentary video playlist.
Every so often since the 50s, and after the children found the matches, humanity discovering how to make nuclear bombs, ETs have been visiting humans more personally, and especially generations of younger humans, to see how the human race would react to a bigger reality, as well as trying to stop them blowing up and doing their level best to destroy the rest of the planet as well. Now that the original generations of children have grown up since the Second World War and are of grandparent age, the latest crop of children will be more adjusted mentally to the likelihood that humans are far from being alone in our galaxy and the universe in general. So the following playlist is a documentary series relating to the times that we are in now and have been living through since Foo Fighters were reported by both sides fighting during the Second World War, with various close encounters humans have had over the years and since the design and building of the nuclear bomb, and with various ETs then personally introducing themselves and interviewing more and more of the human race over the second half of the 20th century, especially the different generations of human children, to see how they were developing.
While at the same time trying to avoid being shot down and have their property not been stolen by the Earthlings.
The last big UFO wave was in the 90s, during the early to mid part of that decade. And because so many close encounters were happening with children at that time around the world, the US government decided that they needed to quickly get their children ready for full-on contact.
This is not sci-fi.
But ET obviously couldn't trust the adult humans at that time, as they kept trying to shoot them down, and then, with any occupants that survived, making their stay on planet Earth extremely unpleasant, with the human leaders also painting ET as being the bad guys. Due to humans being a particularly violent and self-centered species, they expected that ET would be exactly the same once they found us on their scouting trips. They expected that they would inevitably, and with all their wisdom and knowledge, travel all the way across intergalactic space as an invading force to slaughter and or enslave the human race. So the US government came together with child-friendly Disney to design and build a terrifying alien encounter land as a theme park, with an accompanying documentary made and fronted by a top Disney executive to tell everyone about it. After it was built, some sample children were shipped in to try out the new attraction and were duly scared shitless as to what to expect from ET. But at least they would be as prepared as they could be for all and out contact and possible invasion as they envisioned it would well happen. But the documentary only got to be seen just the once, with this being because as soon as it was aired, most all ET activity stopped, with the humans then left pondering what was going to happen next and what to do with all the ET goodies they had planned. So, the leaders of the planet were left to see exactly what they would do next, and were given free will to do as they thought best for the species. Or should that be rather for themselves as the heads of the species? As such, many are right to think that a bigger world agenda is now being followed as planned and being played out in world affairs. And that is exactly what those that run the world need people to think, rather than realizing that a lot goes on outside of Earth's localized orbit, and so keep the status quo in conscious thought on Earth. Knowledge, or rather the lack of it, is what controls, or if one chooses, works with the matrix. So now a bigger reality is once again knocking on the door, and even though up to now humanity has been led to believe that the world leaders are in control, in reality humanity's heads are now once again having to respond to that bigger reality and not leave it. So the powers that be are now having to respond to that bigger reality, but one they created by their previous actions from the 50s to the 90s, and which were based on their own consciousness, their personality and spiritual egos. After being mainly left alone with free choice to proceed how they will, and with free rein given to the human leaders from the mid-90s, the opportunity for world markets to really fly with the new digital age and through the internet was now available. And so the opportunity to make even more massive profits was there for the taking. But the internet also gave us the World Wide Web, and so also gave humans as a species the chance to have a more fully gemmed up view of reality. Thanks to information platforms like YouTube coming online in the mid-noughties of the new millennium, and in just a few years after, some world-changing events through free choice rocked the world. As with any computer, it will only spit out what it is programmed to look at and calculate. So input a wrong model, and that wrong model will be used to calculate the present as well as the future. With this being the same with the computers we now commonly use every day on Earth, as well as with the advanced bioneural gel packs, as theorized, but more generally known as EVs. Input a nearer to reality model though, and a clearer visage, like the Sapphire project, comes into focus. Have you ever wondered why so many billions are spent on useless projects like tokamaks, and why those that run the world are convinced that they are correct in their assumption that they and other gravity mechanical related projects and experimental science will work eventually? And even though the force of electromagnetism is 10 to the power of 39, or 1,000 billion, 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 billion times stronger than Newtonian gravity, or even how Einstein believed it to work, the bending of light by matter on a flat bit of rubber cloth. So whatever type of computer, or even biological android, if programmed with the wrong input, with it being only what one simply desires to be true, then the device will output to those desired parameters and will so be truthfully wrong. This means that when reality bites as to how it really works, then cognitive dissonance is quite often the result, as many find it inconceivable that what they believed in is just wrong guesswork, and especially when they think themselves to be very, very, very intelligent and beyond such things.
Then humanity as a mass asked the 2020 vision, with the year then duly arriving, and humanity got it.
In the run-up to the 90s, different ways of trying to get the adult children to behave and school would be used, but humanity's leaders drove on regardless with their desire to conquer, rule all, and at whatever cost. As they did so, the children from the age of contact also came forth, and although held back in consciousness, still held in their mind a connection to a bigger whole in subconsciousness. With the mists then starting to clear to create the 2020 vision, it left humanity as a whole being told when they could and when they couldn't do stuff. So it quickly became apparent that this is not what was hoped and wished for by the masses, but it is what the masses got, an outward expression of reality on Earth as it really is. The esoteric becomes the exoteric, through inspired mass selfish desires by our world leaders. As we enter the age of Aquarius, COVID-19 has forced humanity to wake up and see clearly what being locked down into our current paradigm really means, and how not fit for purpose it really is as a long-term solution. With those that run the world showing how ineffective they really are when dealing with extraterrestrial politics, as well as what is at the moment looking like just a minor terrestrial pandemic, but one that has caused a major worldwide economic shutdown. Of course, as well as the economic implications for the next little period of time, it also returns us to humanity's future as a whole, with a mass consciousness waking up to a bigger reality. And so especially how this will leave us with what the children see, being the physical, mental and spiritual future of the human race. So now, in the year 2020, and with humanity's vision clearing to a different reality, will those that run the world now let the children talk with the aliens openly? Or will a Pied Piper have to show them the way to go home?